Well, I think we should start with Neal's memory of actually playing there, because for us mere mortals, that must be incredible.
Yeah. Well, my first visit was 1979, just to watch actually, but because John Virgo did very well that year, and it was the year that Terry Griffiths won it, and I went up there as a kid with a few guys I knew. But my first playing experience was in 1984, and I'd qualified, won 3 matches. It was my first season as a pro, so I'm a 20-year-old kid. I'd already been at the Crucible. My dad was obviously had been in snooker for a long time, so I kind of knew half what to expect. Anyway, I draw Alex Higgins, which is an interesting draw, isn't it? First round, but the great Alex Higgins. Hardly anyone supported me. I managed to overnight I was 5-4 up, and I thought, oh, that's quite good. You know, I'm probably not going to beat someone so great as Higgins. Quite a hostile environment, quite tough to play. And then on the next morning, the match was live on the Beeb, and I managed to beat him 10-9, and it was one of the most memorable experiences of my playing career, actually.
Well, I've got 2 other sort of memories, and of course they're linked to being the MC.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether you can remember this. That final in 11, I know they're all special, but that final in 11 was ridiculous, because Trump was this exciting long pot specialist. He burst onto the public's consciousness, those outside snooker, winning in China. And he was sending tweets and text messages out in the mid-session, which was unheard of in 2011. When they came out for the concluding session of that final, close together, having had 3 fabulous sessions of snooker, the noise, you ask anybody in that arena that night, on that Monday night, it was absolutely mind-blowing. And I never forget looking at Higgins' face as he walked down the stairs, and he expected the applause, and he'd obviously won it multiple times, so he knew what that moment should feel like. But you could tell when you looked in his eyes that even he was surprised at the volume. And I remember he pulled his shirt collar, looked at Judd, and they just smiled at each other. And the standing ovation usually naturally subsides after about a minute or a minute and 15. If you looked it up on YouTube, you could probably time it. I reckon my recall of it is that standing ovation lasted for at least 3 minutes, and neither of them could believe the noise and the energy and the warmth that was in the room for both of them. It was absolutely mind-blowing.
I think anything's came close to that atmosphere. I don't think I was ever there really for when I played a Sullivan at the final. I think it was just the whole nation was basically behind Judd, and the crowd were right up for him, and I had a small pocket of Arby, a small pocket of my family down, I suppose, shouting me on. But the atmosphere when we get introduced out at night, that will live with me forever. That atmosphere when we get introduced.
Great fun.
Yeah, it was superb. And my final one is a sort of, at least it's not a cock up by me. It's another Steve Davis memory. Him walking round doing his little goodbye last year. Obviously there were thoughts of his dad when he was walking round, and there was just so much love for him in that room, which I know sounds a bit cheesy, but you could sense the warmth from the crowd. It was as if the crowd in that moment was a person, not 850 different people having a day out and drinking beers and whatever. In that moment, he united the whole auditorium with a feeling towards him, and you could really sense it. So when he was walking around, I could sense it, and I'm not him. So what that moment must have been like for him is incredible. And I think they'd asked me to sort of say something to him, oh, you know, are you sure? Or, you know, some light-hearted gang that comes out with a line. And when he came over, I could see tears in his eyes, and I said, look, I can't recall the exact words. I said, look, Steve, I'm just going to give you a hug. And I just hugged him, and I just thought, what an appropriate moment for a giant of our sport. And that's the magic of the Crucible.
Absolutely, fantastic, great story.